going to do now is go into our panel discussion. We're going to start with introducing our co-host, Ms. Volante Grant. Coming to the panel. Next, I'm going to bring up our February feature, Miss Jasmine Busby. Our next February feature, our Hey Girl of the Month, Miss Nina Motivate. I'm going to bring up a very special girl in our Hey Girl program, Miss Jolette Thompson. And last but not least, we have Miss Nikki B. Awesome. Thank you all for coming. I'm really excited about this show. I want to get my Nina Motivates book. Nina has a book because I love me. She's going to talk about that a little bit. So I'm going to give Nina the floor just for a moment to share her story and to tell us what she's doing now.
Hi. First, before I begin, let's give it up for Hey Girls and Chris. For providing this platform where women and young girls and even men and young boys of all ages can come together and speak life to each other. So I thank you for allowing me to be a part of such a great experience. I thank you also, Ms. Volante, for allowing us to be a part of this great experience. And if you come in this room and you leave out the same, that's because you chose to. Because as you see, even from the poetry, it was great. Now I'll get into what she asked me to speak about. Again, my name is Nina. I go by Nina Motivates. And the reason why I go by Nina Motivates is because I believe that motivation can take you as far as you allow motivation to take you. She asked me to start by telling my story. So I'll start there. I was born the baby of 9. I was born with a condition called club hands. And I'll roll up my sleeves so you can see what that means. As you see, I have a physical difference. I do not call it a disability because when you call something, when you say you're disabled, that means you are putting a limit upon yourself, saying that you cannot do something. So I do not allow myself to say what I cannot do. I have 4 fingers on both hands. I do not have my thumbs, and that is because my thumbs didn't have bones in them. So they had to cut off my thumbs and move all my fingers over one place so that I can grip. However, I had more surgeries in my left hand than my right hand. So this is as much as I can move this hand. So growing up as a child, of course, not easy, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that that was easy. The funny thing is, Mr. 3 a.m. and I went to the same grammar school together, so he may know a little bit about what I'm going to first tell you about myself, which means that when I was growing up in elementary school, I was called names such as Four Finger Nina. I was picked on by girls. I was picked on by children that wanted to just fight me because I looked like an easy target. I looked like someone that could easily be beat. I was called all type of names and put labels on me just because I looked different than other kids around me. However, when I was at home, I had a strong family background. My parents always told me that I could do anything that anyone else could do, so I let that stay in my head. It wasn't easy. I hid my arms for years. I did not want people staring at me. I did not want people looking at me because it was not easy being me, which is what I thought as a child growing up. So it was hard. It wasn't easy. You know, a lot of times people realize that, you know, everyone is different. Well, it took me years to realize that everybody is different. You can be dark-skinned and they'll call you too black. You could be light-skinned and they call you too yellow. You could be tall and they say you look like a giraffe. You could be short and you need to grow some more. You could be skinny and they'll call you a pencil. You could be fat and they'll call you this or that. Well, in grammar school, I was skinny and I had something different about me. People used to say, oh, you're going to break, the wind is going to take you away. So not only was I getting picked on for my hands, but I was also getting picked on for my size. So as I got older, I started to realize, well, everybody has something different about them. There was one guy in elementary school who used to always talk about me. And what I noticed was when he talked about me, he had something different about him. At first, I didn't pay attention until my sister suggested that I pay attention. And so I'm not going to say his name, but I realized that he had something different about him too that was very visible. And most of the time, if someone is talking about you, they want to take the attention off of themselves. So you have to have strength enough to say, you know what, I see what's different about you, and I'm not going to allow that to affect me in a negative way. And so eventually, once I realized what was different about him and about that one particular girl that picked on me more than anybody else, she used to be bullied before I came to the school. So when I came to the school, she didn't want to be bullied. She said, hey, that boy easy target for me. Well, I don't condone violence, but there was one particular time where she just pushed me for the last time, and I hit her back one time, and she left me alone. These little hands hurt. And so she left me alone, and years later, as adults, she told me she picked on me because of my hands. So as people mature, sometimes they'll tell you that they pick on you because what they think is a weakness of you, really you can use as a strength. Once I realized those things, I started using my hands as my strength, and that's how I became Nina Motivates. That's how I had to walk around and show my arms and let people see that I can drive. When children see me drive, they're like, wow, you can drive. And I drive a regular car, no special accommodations. But for a kid, that gives them hope. That gives them strength to say, if she can do it, I can do it. And if I can just be on this earth just to show someone that if I can do it, you can do it, then my purpose is fulfilled. Now, because I realized I was what society calls normal, I decided to date once I got old enough. And I entered some relationships that weren't in my best interest. And so that's where Because I Love Me came from, which is the book that was mentioned. And it talks about stories that I endured. How I went through one relationship where I thought I could save a man. So since I thought I could save this man, I allowed him to move in my place. He wasn't working. I got him in school. I got him a job. And he stopped going to school, stopped going to work. Why? Because I thought I was God. And a lot of people don't like to talk about that. But I thought I was God, and I was playing God, and I was going to save this man. So he stayed at home on the couch, didn't get saved. And that's where he probably still is today. So after I got it strong enough to get out of that relationship, and I sat in that relationship for 4 years. And he would call me fat because I started gaining weight. And I wasn't bigger than this. So I was being called fat, and he would pin me down, you know, just trying to make me feel weak. When I finally broke up with this young man, he told me he couldn't love me right because he didn't love himself right. But as long as I was in that relationship, he was never going to be able to admit that to himself, and neither was I going to be able to admit that I can't play God because I'm not God. And they say when a devil leaves you, if you got that window open and you don't heal properly, he comes back with 7 more. Yeah, he came back with, I think, 14 more into my life. And the next relationship that I entered was a relationship that caused me to spend 14 hours in a jail cell. I was getting ready to close on a condo, and the condo was raided 3 days before I was getting ready to close. He cheated on me with girls I can't even count. And I think he ended up having twins on me as well. He tried to hit me with my own car when I tried to break up with him. He tried to kick my door down when I changed the locks. And I went through all of this because I allowed myself to go through this. No one put it on me. God didn't say that was who he was going to put me with and have me to change. I decided myself that that's who I was going to date and that's who I was going to change. So it caused me to go through all these unnecessary, loveless issues. And a lot of times people go through what I call the dying for love syndrome, which is kind of what I explained, trying to force someone to love you or trying to force them to love themselves. And in that process, you could be killing yourself. And that's what I was doing. Sometimes it gets so bad that you actually die. You literally die. And sometimes you kill your spirit. And I say killing your spirit is just like killing yourself naturally. So I prayed a lot. I asked God to help me get out of this situation. And to get out of that situation, I had to start my life all over. I was in my apartment. Now take it, we had already been through a raid. We had already been through all of the cheating and everything else. But this young man, I just wouldn't let go. Why? Because he used my weakness. What was my weakness this time? God. I wanted him to have a relationship with God. He knew that. So after he done wrong so many times, he said, let's pray to God.